Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing the commentary of the Sforno on this week's Parsha, Parshas Behar. Let's go to the Pasuk. Parachav Hey, Pasuk Aleph. The Torah says as follows: Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe bar Sinai leimar. And God spoke to Moshe at Mount Sinai, saying, the Sforno comments, V'hizki Moshe Rabbeinu zos ha-parsha b'zeh makom. He chashav sheikhansu tekef laaretz v'hizir al shmitas karka b'prat ki b'cheta mishmirasa yiglu mimena. Moshe Rabbeinu mentioned the laws of Shemitah right after Har Sinai, since he thought Bnei Yisrael would be entering into Eretz Yisrael right away. He wanted to tell them the laws of Shemitah right then, since if Bnei Yisrael does not keep Shemitah, they will be exiled from Eretz Yisrael. The type of question we will use is that the commentary is telling us the logic behind an action that on the surface does not seem to explain the action. Hint: when did the first Shemitah cycle actually start? Okay, let's stop for a minute, and with the type of question we'll be using and the hint, can you come up with the question yourself? Okay, here's the question. The question is that it seems from the Sforno that the reason Moshe told Bnei Yisrael the mitzvah of Shemitah right away was that he thought they were going into Eretz Yisrael right away, and if they transgressed the mitzvah of Shemitah, they would be exiled. He wanted them to know it in advance so they would not come to transgress the sin. This is hard to understand, as even if Bnei Yisrael would go into Eretz Yisrael right away, the first Shemitah cycle would only start 14 years later, after the 7 years of war and the 7 years of the division of the land. That being the case, if you want a warning to have maximum impact, you should wait to warn them until right before the first Shemitah cycle starts, not 14 years before it will occur. The answer, as you always say, comes within the question, which was, even if Bnei Yisrael would go into Eretz Yisrael right away, the first Shemitah cycle would only start 14 years later, after the 7 years of war and 7 years of division of the land. That being the case, if you want a warning to have maximum impact, should you not wait to warn them until right before the first Shemitah cycle, not 14 years before it will occur? The answer is no. And the reason is that a person feels a warning much more when he feels the alacrity of the person giving the warning. This will be felt much more when Moshe warns them about Shemitah well before the time it would actually begin. The practical application. In our lives, many of us have people whom we want to impact to grow in their spirituality. When we discuss a subject with someone, the more they feel we really care about a certain issue, the greater the likelihood they'll be impacted by our words. This is not necessarily discussing a case where you are rebuking someone, which has its own different set of laws, but rather even to just give over Torah ideas which people can use to grow should be given over in a way where the listener truly feels that you genuinely care about the issue. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Bamidbar.